Kidnap on the California Comet by M.G. Leonard and Sam Sedgman. Chapter 18. Winter Park. "Can't let you through, buddy," said a man wearing an Amtrak uniform. "No passing between carriages while we're in a tunnel. You'll let in diesel fumes. Makes everyone sick." Hal stared through the glass into the dining car and let out a little yelp as he spotted Ryan in a red t-shirt, sitting at a table. The tunnel seemed to go on forever. He watched as Ryan got up and followed Jean to the dining car door. Sunlight blazed in through the windows once again, and Hal slammed his hand on the metal plate to slide the door open. "Ryan!" he called out, dashing down the aisle between the dining booths. The train slipped again into darkness. "Oh, come on!" Hal stood by the next door, staring at the blacked-out windows, willing the train to come out of the tunnel. "Isn't this a thrill?" said an old lady who was sat in a booth, her arm linked through her husband's. His eyes twinkled as he smiled back at her. Daylight returned, and Hal hurried into the sleeper carriage. Francine was in the corridor, carrying a pile of linen. "Have you seen Ryan Jackson?" Hal asked her. "The kid with the braces?" she said. "Sure, he went downstairs. Looked in a hurry." Hal clattered down the stairs into the vestibule. He saw a changing room, showers, and the branches of pine trees scraping the window of the exit door. "Ryan!" he called out. A toilet door opened an inch. "What do you want?" Ryan lisped. Do you remember that Ryan struggles to speak clearly because of his enormous brace? "Are you okay?" Hal asked. He could see one of Ryan's eyes and some of his metal face scaffolding through the gap. "No," Ryan looked down. "Got yelly ache." "What?" "Yelly ache," Ryan repeated, clutching his stomach and glaring at Hal. "I need to ask you about Marianne." "Who?" Ryan let out a low groan. "Oh." "The girl who was kidnapped." "What around her?" "Do you know her?" "No." Ryan shook his head. "What makes you think I do?" "Your message," Hal faltered. That means he's not feeling very confident. "You mimed her name." It sounded ridiculous now he was saying it out loud. "You scored the page in my sketchbook." "No, I wouldn't." Ryan shook his head and groaned. "I gotta go." He shut the door and locked it. Hal stepped back, reeling as the train slipped into another tunnel and luminous paint lit up the staircase in eerie green. He'd got it all wrong. How could he have mistaken Ryan's actions so completely? He blinked as sunlight lasered back in through the window. "Hal, are you down there?" Mason's face appeared at the top of the stairs and he beckoned to him. "We've had an idea." "Idea?" Hal followed Mason through to the next sleeper car. "Idea about what?" "How to find out what's in Seymour's briefcase." Mason grinned and led Hal downstairs to where Hadley was waiting for them in the next vestibule. The train sounded its horn and birds fluttered up from the treetops. "Another tunnel!" Mason exclaimed. "This is the long one before Fraser," Hadley said, as the light in the carriage dimmed. "The Moffat Tunnel," Hal said. "It's 6 miles long." Wow, I can't even begin to imagine a tunnel that's 6 miles long. "Right now, there's 1/2 mile of rock above our heads." "Dude!" Mason shook his head. "How do you know this stuff?" "Books," Hal replied, sitting down, cross-legged, on the floor. "Listen, I have news." Mason and Hadley sat down either side of him and he told them what Uncle Nat had said about Zola. "She's got to be lying," Hadley said. The floor rumbled beneath them as the train pressed on through the dark. "Uncle Nat thinks she's telling the truth," Hal shrugged. "He's known her for ages, but that's not all." And he relayed his conversation with Vanessa Rodriguez. That means he told them about it. "What?" Mason leaned back. "AD's not dangerous." "We don't know that," Hadley said. "She does have a weird name, and you said she was lying about where she was from." "You were listening to me?" Mason was surprised. Hadley shrugged. I do sometimes, you know. We should add Adi to our suspect list, Hal said. We should also add Vanessa Rodriguez, Mason said. Did you see the police questioning her in Omaha? I did, Hal nodded. She's strange. Talking to her is like being interrogated by a supervillain. It grew brighter. We're pulling into Fraser. He got up and looked out the window. A speaker above their head crackled. There will be a 15-minute stop here at Fraser so that those going to the Winter Park ski resort can retrieve their luggage. Hal turned to Mason and Hadley. There's something I need to do right now. What is it? Follow me, said Hal. It was freezing cold on the platform. The horizon was a shark's mouth of mountain peaks. Oh, I love that description. Can you visualise it? A shark's mouth of mountain peaks. That's a clever description. An icy wind stole the breath from Hal's throat, and he wished that he'd thought to grab his anorak. Mason didn't seem to notice the cold, but Hadley was huddled against her big brother for warmth. We're 9,000 feet above sea level, according to Uncle Nat. Hal shivered, quickening his pace. This station is the highest point on the Amtrak network. He looked at Mason. It's all downhill from here. Mason shook his head. You should leave the jokes to me. What are we doing out here? Hadley's teeth were chattering. Other than turning into icicles. Remember how you said people pick memorable numbers as codes? Hal said. Well, I think I know the number that will open that door. He pointed to the Silver Scout. Hal? Hadley stopped. You can't. She looked over her shoulder. Relax. Look, I'm not even certain I know the door code, Hal said, gritting his teeth to stop them chattering, but I've got to try. What if the kidnappers are inside? Mason said as they neared the door. What will you do? Let's see if this works first. Hal's heart hammered in his chest as he flipped open the cover to the keypad. His fingers were cold and clumsy, but he swallowed and typed 70707 on the cold metal buttons. It was the number he'd seen on August Razor's model train, the number he'd drawn in his sketchbook, and, he guessed, Marianne's birthday. He heard a clunk. He reached for the handle of the door, and it opened. No way, Mason whispered. Hal stepped up into the private rail car. What are you doing? Hadley hissed. Wait here, Hal replied. If you hear me cry out, run and get help. No, Hal! Mason stepped towards him. If Marianne is here, then this ends now. And with that, Hal turned and headed into the white corridor of the Silver Scout. Ooh, Hal's been very brave, isn't he? Do you think he's doing the right thing by going to investigate? Or do you think he should go and get an adult to investigate? Crikey, we'll find out some more tomorrow. Bye for now.